And in terms of communities, so, I've done a lot of kind of research on and study on health, etc. And one of the things I've kind of found fascinating is the importance of actually our relationships when it comes to our health, right? The quality of our relationships, who we spend our time with. There's this, saying around in the personal growth space, something like, you become the average of the 5 people you hang out with, etc., etc., etc. I've been around, some people who just have completely different to me and like frowned upon everything that I was doing. I guess felt like a rebel, but just kind of like an outcast and stuff. And obviously now I've kind of found different community and stuff. And so the point I'm kind of getting at is that relationships and community is vitally important for our health. We're social creatures, etc. What's your kind of take on, and what have you seen from running this community, from running communities, from running events, on like the importance of having those like-minded people around you, people who support you in your journey, and just from like a relationship kind of standpoint, if that makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, I'm probably gonna say very little that's brand new, but I think that's true for a lot of people, is that we're mainly just kind of amalgamating lots of advice and anecdotes and thoughts from people that have said things before. I mean, communities and relationships are one of the oldest structures that probably exist between humans ever, if not the oldest, right? Like the moment that the first
Yeah.
two people got together and had a baby was the moment that, like, people, society began, right? And you can talk about chicken and egg, of course, and evolution, but we won't go that far back. However, society today exists because groups of people are attracted to each other magnetically. We have towns and cities for a reason. We have villages for a reason. There are people that live in the middle of nowhere, fine, but like there is strength in numbers from a protection point of view. If you're thinking evolutionarily, right? It's better to be hunted by a lion if there's 30 of you to fight back than there is if there's one of you to be eaten, I guess. So that's true. But then obviously that plays out different economically when you think about capitalism now, in the modern age. It's easier to go to a shopping center, and it's surprising when you see a McDonald's next to a KFC next to a Burger King. You think, well, that's a bit silly, but it's actually makes sense because of the way those models work. So like at all levels, we're all kind of drawn together. I think a lot of the time that line, and I know this is sort of content and topics that you discuss on this podcast, a lot of the time the lines between whether that's scientific or whether that's holistic, whether that's energy or whether that's logic and physics and biology and chemistry, that line is blurred. I don't profess to be an expert in either, but I have spent over a decade building communities, so there's some interesting anecdotes that I've observed. I mean, anything that's ever been built or changed or moved forwards was probably done by a group of people. I think, what's the quote? I actually have it somewhere because I knew I was going to bring it up and I always misquote it. And who said it? Margaret Mead. So Margaret Mead said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has." And I just love that quote because it reminds us that, it's the power of people, right? And then again, borrowing another thought from another expert, Maslow, right? The hierarchy of needs, belonging is right there on one of the bottom rungs, if not the bottom rung, of the needs that we have as people. We want to feel like we belong. And that plays out so obviously in this community that I've built in possibly the most ironic way, because our community is about being different. I mean, we've literally called it different. And the thing that makes people different is ironically the thing that ties them together. And we probably saw this growing up. I don't know, you're a lot younger than me, but like as you grow through school, there are different types of groups of people and they gravitate towards each
Mm,
other, right? When I was at school, I'm
mm,
aging myself here, there were the chavs, the city people, the emos, the
yeah.
jitters, we would call them, the skaters, the drama group, etc. And they would all group together in these little compartments. And there's glue that plugged each of those together. If we said, oh, all the humans get in a room, everyone would get in a room. Fine, everyone that skates get in a room. That would be a very specific group of people. But they group together, and that's what fascinates me, is that those differences are the things that make them similar.